Hey guys, Victor here, coming at you with another deck profile, and for today's video we're going to be doing an updated Danger Dark World list, where the only goal, and the ultimate goal, is to just hand loop our opponent for everything, and then by that point we basically have enough resources so that no matter what they top deck, they can't win the game. But if I'm being honest, this deck, it's definitely struggling in the current format just because there are so many hand traps floating around, especially cards like Droll and Lockbird, which traditionally have just always completely steamrolled this deck. But even so, we're just going to pretend those cards don't exist and just continue to try to do our own thing. So, with that out of the way, let's jump right into it. As always, we're going to be starting off with the monster lineup first, and the first card we're going to be playing is, of course, Genta, Gateman of Dark World, who, surprise, surprise, we're going to be playing at 3, just because this is the main starter of the deck, right? You discard it, and then just off of that, it gives you access to the Gates of Dark World, which immediately has fodder, because this is a fiend, which means that just off of this one resolving, you're able to add the gates, be able to discard another card, draw another card, and then, since this is typically what's going to be banished first, it has an additional effect where if it's banished and you control a face-up Dark World card, which you will because you have the Gates of Dark World, it's able to bring itself back once per turn, so immediately you have another free body that you can do something with, whether you want to bounce it back to your hand or exceed or link it off, whatever. Point is, got to play 3 Genta. Then to accompany our 3 Genta, we're playing 3 Snoww, Unlight of Dark World, who, when this card is discarded, literally just allows us to search our deck for any Dark World card. So really straightforward stuff. Typically with this one though, you want to search out cards like that are super impactful. So you want to get like your Dark World Accession or your Ceruli, right? Cards that you normally wouldn't be able to search off in normal circumstances. But yeah, 3 Snoww, got to play it. And then for the final 3 of Dark World Monster, we're playing 3 Reign-beaux Overking of Dark World, who, when this one is discarded, allows us to search our deck for any level 5 or higher Dark World monster except itself. And this is the one that allows you to get your Sillvas and your graphas, and just thin out your deck a little bit more by being able to add those high level monsters from your deck to your hand. More importantly though, this one, while it's in the graveyard, is able to bounce back any level 7 or lower Dark World monsters that you control back to your hand in order to special summon itself out from the graveyard for free. So in addition to just being able to replenish your hand for to be able to provide you with like more discard fodder, right? It does provide you with a free level 8 3k beat stick that you can just either leave it there, which you probably won't. You're more than likely going to use it for link fodder or exceed fodder, but the main thing that you should be taking away is that being able to recycle your resources is pretty good. Then that's it for the 3 ofs, and then for the 2 ofs, we're playing 2 Grapha, Dragon Lord of Dark World. So this card effect is to pop cards, which admittedly doesn't really matter all that much. What we do care about Grapha is for the effect to bounce back Dark World monsters, similar to Reign-beaux, except it doesn't have the same restriction of level 7 or lower. The only restriction is that you can't go Grapha for Grapha, but honestly, that's perfectly fine because we can still bounce literally every other Dark World monster and just continue to replenish our resources to continue discarding more cards. But yeah, 2 Grapha, perfectly fine. And then for the other 2 of Dark World monster, 2 Sillva, Warlord of Dark World. This is the one that when it's discarded by an opponent's card effect, is able to basically loop our opponent's hand for 2 cards of their choosing. And if we just happen to discard it, it brings itself back for free. But yeah, this is basically what the entire deck revolves around, right? So eventually you're going to get access to the Sillva, and then you're going to be able to discard it through cards like ceruli or other cards that we happen to be playing, and triggering both of its effects to special summon itself and loop 2 cards. But truthfully, if you want to play like a little bit more like on the dangerous side, you can get away with just playing 1, but I'd rather have like the security blanket from playing 2. So yeah, 2 Sillva, perfectly fine. And then for the final Dark World monster, we're playing the 1 Ceruli Guru of Dark World, who, when this card is discarded, you summon it to your opponent's side of the field, and then on their side of the field, it will activate again to force you to discard just discard a card, basically. And the great thing about this is that because it counts as your opponent's monster, it will trigger every single one of your Dark World effects, both the secondary and the main one. So yeah, you get a lot of mad value just out of really hitting the board, and a lot of the times it's just too much to overcome the moment this card hits the field. So yeah, pretty cool card for you anyways, not your opponent. Then that's it for the Dark World cards. And then for the Danger lineup, because we are playing a very heavy Danger package, we're playing 3 Danger Nessie. You discard it or you special summon it, just like every other danger monster. But when this one is discarded, it searches your deck for any danger monster except itself. We have 2 danger jackalope, which is either going to summon itself or summon a danger from the deck. 2 danger Tsuchinoko, which is either going to summon itself or summon itself. Literally no downside. It's always going to hit the field, basically. Then we have 2 danger Mothman, which either summons itself or it becomes Dark World dealings, which admittedly can get a little bit more risky. So you typically don't want that effect to happen because there is a very real possibility that your opponent draws into a very impactful hand trap like the Droll and then just ruins your day immediately after that. So If you can help it, try not to rely on it unless you're like in a really desperate situation. And then lastly, the one danger Bigfoot. Just like another name, sometimes we use the effective pop, but a lot of the times we're just using this card for exceed or link fodder. That's it for the dangers though. And then because we're leaning all in on the degeneracy aspect, we are going to be introducing Gen and Ken back into the deck. So just 2 Gen, 1 Ken. You can normal summon or special summon again, it doesn't matter. Point is, during the main phase, you can special summon a Ken from your hand or deck to your opponent's side of the field, and then this basically acts as ceruli. But instead of just discarding a card, you get to draw 2 first and then discard a card. So if you happen to have like an even better Dark World monster or whatever that you happen to draw into, you can discard that instead. Or you can still trigger like your Sillva effects normally, so you get both the special summon and the loop too. But you know, whenever I feel like leaning all in on the hand rip aspect, I feel like this is probably just the go-to engine to go with because it's the one that allows us to do it the most consistently. Or maybe not, who knows? Let me know while I'm wrong down below. But yeah, with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can finally move on to the spell and trap portion of the deck. Now that we're on the spell and trap portion, the first card that we're going to be talking about is the Gates of Dark World, which we are going to be playing at 3, as I enjoy discarding and I enjoy drawing as often as possible, and this is the card that allows me to do that, so it just feels like a no-brainer to play this card at 3, despite what others may say. That's it for the 3-ofs though. Then for the 2-ofs, we're playing 2 Dark Corridor, which when it comes to ratios on this card, I'm constantly going back and forth if I want to play 1, 2, or 3, just because there are certain games where you want to be able to see this as soon as possible just to be able to get your plays across, but then there are other games where you don't even really need it to resolve in order to play the game. It's just one of those cards, but point is, if this card resolves, you're basically going to be able to do whatever you want, right? As it gives you access to any one Dark World card, and then you get to discard a card. So if you just want to search anything, specifically like a spell like Dark World Accession, you can add Snoww. If you just want to go straight for the ceruli Sillva play, you can get the ceruli, discard it, whatever. But no matter what you're getting off of this card, you're going to be getting like a key play starter. So yeah, Dark Corridor, phenomenal card, even though the ratios are always like just changing in this list. Then for the other 2-of, we're playing 2 Allure of Darkness, which we play so many different dark monsters in this deck, right? We play all the danger monsters and all the Dark World cards. Are the only ones that aren't dark are Ken and Gen, but that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. You're pretty much always going to have this card live, and even if you have like a handful of spells, it's still worth it to just risk it and draw 2 because you're probably going to draw something. But if you want, you could probably just bump this card up to 3 and knock down Dark Corridor to 1 and just be able to turbo through your deck a little bit more easily, but 2 is perfectly fine as is. And then for the 1-ofs, we're playing the 1 Dark World Accession to be able to summon out Fusion Grapha, 1 Call by the Grave to be able to potentially stop any hand traps, 1 Triple Tactics Thrust, since we are going to be giving our opponent a monster pretty much every single game, whether we're giving them Ken, Gen, or ceruli, which means that this card is going to be live at some point in the combo. And there are a lot of really powerful cards that we can get off of it, like our Allure of Darkness, or any of these cards, being the Triple Tactics Talent, to be able to rip away the final card of our opponent's hand. 1 Foolish Burial, which I just love playing in this deck because it gives us another avenue of being able to access cards like our Reign-beaux and our grapha without having to draw them and discard them. And then lastly, the 1 Card Destruction, which in a deck like this is basically an auto-win button. And with that, that's a spell lineup. We don't play any traps in this because it's all gas, and we can finally move on to the extra deck. Now that we're on the extra deck portion of the video, we're going to be starting off with the Exceed monsters first, and the first card we're going to be talking about is number 62, Garrus the Timeless, who has 3 really solid effects, but we really only care about one of them, being we're drawing 2 cards and discarding 1 card. So it's another great consistency piece that only takes 2 level 4 monsters to make, so pretty easy for a deck like this that is able to just generate a bunch of monsters for free. And you know, like I said, it just lets us dig more and discard cards. What's not to love about it? Then that's it for the rank 4s. We do play a couple of rank 8s though, so we're gonna be playing the 1 Zombie Vampire, just because there are certain situations where you want to overlay cards like your Grapha and Reign-beaux, and maybe even like your Danger Bigfoot, in order to mill more cards and then potentially special summon something. And this is also like one of the great ways that we have to be able to play through Droll and Lockbird, as it allows us to fill our graveyard and then get like another key monster, and then just having like being able to gain knowledge about what our opponent is playing and potentially milling a key card is also very fantastic. And then for the other rank 8, we're just playing 1 number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy as a spell and trap negate. That's it for the exceeds though. And then for the links, We're going to be playing one Security Dragon and one Akashic Magician just to be able to bounce back cards like the Ceruli and the Kenningen that we will be giving to our opponent. The only thing is this one has to be co-linked when it happens, and the Akashic Magician, well, it can only bounce what it's pointing to when it summons, so you have to be very careful with your zones basically when you're playing with it, because it is very like easy to just lock yourself out depending on how you go into like your link monsters, so just be aware. Then for the other links, we're playing one Muckraker from the Underworld, as it's a free discard that does trigger all your Dark World effects, as then it's also able to reborn any of your Fiend monsters from your graveyard. So just like a great card that allows us to discard and reborn. And the only downside to it, though, is that it does lock you into Fiends for the rest of the turn. But if you're just using it to be able to basically just generate resources, it's more than worth it. Then for the other ones, we're playing one Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy. We play plenty of Dark monsters, and so do our opponents, probably. So we go into Dark, and then we take one of their cards, and then we can do whatever we want with it. Now we're playing the one IP Masquerena, which allows us to go into cards such as like the SP Little Knight, or if you're feeling a little bit more dangerous, you can also go into the Nightmare Cerberus or the Nightmare Unicorn, depending on what you're facing down. That's it for the Link 2s and the Link 3s, and then for the Link 4s, we are going to be playing one Abawaku, the Lightless Shadow. I just love this card. This is a Fiend deck, so we play plenty of Fiend monsters to be able to make this, and both of its effects are really solid. Unfortunately, it's discard for cost, so that means you're not going to be able to trigger any of your Dark World cards. You will be able to trigger your Danger monsters, however, if that happens to matter. But it's either a free pop on the field or a free reborn for something like a IP Masquerena that maybe you use to summon this. I don't know. But point is, like, this card is just a fantastic boss monster. And then we're also playing the 1-star Usual Skull Droid because we play plenty of monsters that we want to get rid of at some point. And then this also just allows us to draw 4 cards, put the bad cards to the bottom of the deck, special summon cards from our hand for free, boost all our guys if they summon to a zone it points to. But point is, this card is phenomenal. That's it for the links, though. And then for the fusions, we're playing 2 Grapha Fusion just because it's also just a phenomenal end board piece that allows us to have like a soft negate. It doesn't negate, but it is able to change the effect of a normal spell, normal trap, or a monster into I discard a card. So pretty solid. So we basically get to negate a card and then discard a card, and then because our opponent is the one that technically discarded it, we get to trigger our additional effects as well. So if you're not able to like fully loop your opponent's hand with like something such as Sillva, this is a great way of being able to trigger it during your opponent's turn and just make them get rid of their last 2 cards. So with that, that's the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!